Welcome to Keiser Voices, the story of success, brought to you by Keiser University Graduate School, here where the academic world meets personal triumph. Join us today as we dive into the captivating tales of success.
Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Keiser Voices, and we're celebrating Women's History Month. We're excited to kick off this month with a special panel, and joining us are two of our Keiser University campus presidents. All the way from Sarasota is Dr. Michele Morgan, and joining us from up north from Port St. Lucie is Miss Leslie Kristof. Ladies, thank you so much for coming on the podcast with us today.
Thank you. It's nice to be here.
Thank you so much for the invitation. Look forward to it.
Before I really start asking the questions that we had for you regarding, work, life, and impact, and sharing your stories, can you tell us first what the importance is of celebrating months like Women's History Month and what it means to you? I don't know, Dr. Morgan, if you'd like to start.
Sure. Thank you. It's a great question because I think, in our current generation, I'm thankful that I really have to stop and think about it because we have been afforded so many opportunities that there's not a lot of daylight, quite honestly, between the genders, in my opinion, in today's workforce. I think that to reflect on it and realize that that's not always been the way, and that there have been, some pretty impactful women that have gone before us and paved the way, that we are judged on the body of our work, not, by our gender, for a position or for an opportunity. So I do think that it's important to remember that it's not always been this way, and reflect on that and be grateful for that and realize how far we've come.
President Kristof?
Yes, absolutely. I echo everything Dr. Morgan said, and just very proud of being able to celebrate Women's History Month and the progress that women have made over the generations and will continue to make into the future.
President Kristof, when we talk about work-life balance, right? I think that's a famous phrase, and it really has been since COVID, is what's work-life balance? Are you able, or do you find yourself being able to define balance in your life when we're looking at the roles of leadership and then your family life? Can you find that balance in there?
Sure. I think that, balance is found in just really being fully present. When you say work-life balance, what does that really mean? What does that look like? And the purpose of just being present, I think over time, my early years, I wanted to achieve everything, and I wanted to be successful at everything that was before me. And now, whatever is presented to me, I am present in that moment, in that purpose-driven moment, whether it be here at the office or whether it be at home with my family, whether it be with students. It's hard to give an equal attention to everything. So whatever comes at me, whatever needs my attention the most in the moment or in the day is where I put my purpose and effort.
Dr. Morgan, I'd love to have you answer the same thing if you don't mind.
Sure. And it's funny, Heather, that you framed it with, with COVID, because I think during COVID, I'm a mom with 4 kids, and at the time my youngest was 4, and our next youngest was in kindergarten, so she was not an independent reader, and then we were all home. Well, that probably showed me the crazy imbalance that environment and that time, if you will, created. And I know, talking with colleagues, they said the same thing. They're like, oh my gosh, I worked harder, when I was working from home, because it was just everything all at once, and so trying to manage that. So I think coming out of that I'm very grateful for coming out of that and really having a better sense of, okay, just because I can get up in the morning and go to my computer, or I can after dinner go back to my computer. It doesn't mean that I have to or I'm going to. Like it really did force some from framing of boundaries. So I think, if I talk about balance, how do I know if we're there or not? And I think I don't really have a definition for balance, but I definitely know what imbalance feels like. And so I think it's really being, mindful of, what imbalance feels like and how detrimental that is to my productivity and the people around me, whether it be my family or my peers and colleagues. But I also think one way to help, or that I have found that helps, is to really communicate well with those that are important to me, those around me, whether it's my team or the people I work with or my family at home, that they know that they are the priority at the time. But there's going to be times where they overlap, and I need to take a call, from the school or from a child while I'm at work, or when I'm at home, I need to take a call from work, and I will do those sparingly, but they understand that it's important that those things happen and they have to work together for anything to get done, quite honestly. So I think it really is a matter of loving the ones you're with and making sure that they have a good understanding of what's important to you. And on the flip side, that I also respect that for my employees or my family.
I have like 3 more questions based on how you both answered that question for me. But I think I would be remiss to ask them without asking you, how did you end up in these roles of leadership? Like, I'm sure your journeys were not the same, were not easy, and I'm sure there's good and bad in it. But how did you keep yourself inspired on this pathway to leadership? Was it like a system of support? Was it just pure motivation to like, I'm going to do this? What was it that really helped shape that journey that you took? I don't know if who wants to go first, but I mean, I'm really curious how you both ended up in the seats that you're in currently.
Sure. I'll go ahead and start. So I have now been in higher education for over 25 years. And it's interesting because I like to say I found my purpose 25 years ago. And so the purpose was interactions that I had with students, my first job, so to speak, which was with a university in higher ed, and helping students and helping teammates and helping team members, and the influence that I saw that I was making, and the difference I saw that I was making, and the purpose I realized I had in doing what I was doing. And so as time progressed, I wanted to continue to learn as much as I possibly could to make as much of a difference that I possibly could with directly and indirectly with anybody I encountered. So fortunately, I've had the opportunity to grow within the roles I'm in. I would say from a little girl, I had sort of an innate leadership style. And I really enjoy being around people and inspiring people to grow and develop as well. So I just stayed the course in higher ed and really tried to make an impact, and now have been with Keiser, just had my 11-year anniversary as the campus president. And it's been just a beautiful ride. And I'm very proud of the efforts that have been rewarded from the process.
And Heather, thanks for the question. And I have to tell you, Leslie, President Kristof has done a phenomenal job in Port St. Lucie. I mean, I see, some of the things that they're doing on their campus, and it has her fingerprints all over it. She has certainly made her mark, and she's certainly that campus takes on the complexion of its leader. She really has done a beautiful job of working with her community and just being a fantastic leader there. And so, I mean, I got into higher education by mistake. I had graduated with my bachelor's degree after the Gulf War, and the economy was terrible, and I had graduated in elementary education. And so it was getting close to the fall, and I wasn't under contract. And of course, in elementary ed, if you're not under contract, in my mind, you're out for a year. So I'm like, I can't waste time. And so I had a little interest in administration. And so I talked to a friend who said, well, why don't you go back to grad school? So she said, go talk to Dr. Work at Shiles Hall. He'll take care of it. Great. Did all that, got into classes. And I was so disinterested in going back to school at the time that I had no idea that I signed up for the wrong program until I was halfway through my first semester. I realized, why am I learning about the growth and development of 18 to 24-year-olds? And then I finally realized, oh, I'm in college administration, not K through 12 administration. But that was by the grace of God, because by then I was hooked, and I loved what I was learning. I was fortunate enough to get a graduate assistantship in a couple different areas, and then it stuck. I loved it. Came to Florida, had just gotten fresh resumes from Kinko's, and at a stoplight saw a sign for Keiser College. Popped in with a resume, and I've been here ever since, and that was 30 years ago, which is crazy. But I started out in admissions, and like Leslie, from a young age, I had kind of these innate leadership skills or tendencies, if you will, to the point where I was the youngest of 4 girls in a family of 5, and I would always be the one. Probably now that I look back on it, they were manipulating me, but I was always the one kind of voted to go ask mom and dad if we could have, some sort of outing or whatever, because I would many times get a yes. Well, I'm like, okay, is your room clean? Are your chores? And like, before we make the ask, have you done what's expected of you? And that kind of just was a young lesson at the time that we joke about in my family now, but kind of has carried to today. And before you ask for more, have you handled what you've been given responsibility over, and have you handled that well to earn the ask? And so I think that's just a really key thing in leadership, and I've tried to teach that to my folks as well. And so and I've watched them develop, which is probably the most gratifying thing in these roles, I believe, is seeing the growth in others and remembering how they came to you and how they blossomed, and that impact is probably what drives me every day. I mean, like I said, I've been here for 30 years, same organization, but I have so much passion and bandwidth left in me and desire that I don't see, I'm not here to retire. I'm here to come to work every day, having thought about issues overnight and hopefully come to some solutions, and I'm ready to, dive right back in the next day. So I think the fit, maybe, I think I heard Leslie say that too, the fit in higher ed and specifically here at Keiser University has just been, I think, what has helped me gradually go from one level to the next and take on new challenges.
And I appreciate you both sharing your journeys, and you guys have come such a long way in them. When did you have that moment when you truly felt like what you did made a difference? Like when you made an impact to your community, whether that's a community like at large or your student body? I mean, did you have that like aha moment, like this is where I'm meant to be, like that validation moment? And Dr. Morgan, I don't know if you want to just continue, or if you guys need a minute to think on that answer.
Sure. No, that's fine. I think of 2 moments. One is that immediately come to mind is when Dr. Keiser had purchased the land at the flagship campus from Northwood. I was fortunate enough at the time, I was a regional, and I was fortunate enough to be tasked with that transition from Northwood to Keiser, and it was on a very defined time frame, and it was with current Northwood employees, and would they transition and be Keiser employees? So there was a lot at play there, and it was a very short time frame from, I think, April to August. We had to make the full transition to Keiser. So I think when we started our fall semester, after students had registered and everything, started our fall semester, faculty were in place, students were in place, and kind of driving away from the campus that day, I'm kind of like, okay, nothing blew up. Success, So, and to look back now 10 years later and see, I mean, I have so much pride. I'm not even responsible for it because, Dr. Vonk has been there, but I have so much pride in what that little campus has accomplished for their community and for our community at large, the Keiser University community, how they are, being the pace setters for us that have been around for a really long time, and they're kind of the new kids on the block. I love thinking on that, like, because it's only 10 years in, and gosh, fast forward 20, and just how much they'll be able to just make an impact there in their community, on the state, and even and more specifically with the lives they touch and the students.
Amazing. President Kristof?
Oh, wow. So there's so many situations and things that I can think about or share to answer this question. But I want to add that 11 years ago, I received a phone call about an opportunity at Keiser University, and I had the opportunity to interview with Dr. Michele Morgan. And yes, so I remember hanging up from my interview with her thinking, I want to be a part of Keiser University. I want to work for this lady. And, we continued through the process, and I remember her telling me about the Port St. Lucie campus and what the campus needed, and I was just so excited at the opportunity, and coming into it was really rewarding for me, and seeing where the campus was 11 years ago and where it is today, and I know Dr. Morgan alluded to that earlier on. I knew I wasn't going to let her down, let Dr. Keiser down, let the university down. And I have a lot of pride with what we do here. And it's my purpose. And I thank Michele every time I see her for giving me the chance. And so, yeah, I realize this is my home. This is my place. This is my purpose. And that's where it all started.
I want to go on record saying I did not know that little fact. When we were looking at our what topics we had for Women's History Month, and we were thinking about who we wanted to have on it, whose journey we wanted to share, you two both popped in my mind because I've had the ability to be around both of you and see you both in action in various settings. And so you were the first two that popped into my head. And then I had contacted your campus and I asked, not so much for a reference, but I checked in with a couple of your employees, like, do you think they would do this for us? Do you think they would come on? Because I'd love to hear their stories. And it was like, oh my gosh, you better just email them now. So I did not know. I want that on record. And that's so amazing, that little connection that you guys have. That's fantastic. I love it.
I love me some some Miss Kristof, that's for sure.
So obviously when you have what, immediate reports, you probably each have 10 to 12 immediate reports. They have reports underneath them, depending on the department. It can be anywhere from like 5 to 10 to 15 and so forth. And then you have all these students that are also actively at your campuses and the faculty. How are you able to create habits or mindsets that help you stay focused and energized with all these different moving pieces and all these different people in places to help, be that leadership that your campus needs? President Kristof?
Sure. I think first and foremost, it's communication, open, transparent, visibility. It's really important, I think, as a leader to, what's the book? Manage by walking around, or be visible, be present, be relatable, be vulnerable. have conversations, really get to know your people, get to know your staff, get to know your faculty. I think that having that mindset and structure as part of the day is so incredibly important. But I also think it's important to protect some pockets of time for yourself as well, to have some time to reflect on, what's working well, what's not working well, where do we need to pivot, where do we need to enhance. But I think most importantly, going back to the very beginning, is really clear communication and visibility to all the staff and faculty. We have an open door policy as a university. My staff and faculty know that. Students know that, and they're always welcome to come in and have a conversation with me. I tell them all the time, don't come in just to tell me what's not going right. Come in with your ideas and suggestions, and let's move forward with that. So just being approachable, I think, is really important as well.
Dr. Morgan?
Thank you.
So I think one to kind of be in the right mindset for me has always been, I'm an early bird. I'm a farm girl, was raised on a farm, so sleeping in was like 7 o'clock in the morning. So, for me, with my responsibilities here and at home, I get up very early, and it's peaceful. There's nobody needing anything from me. And I get up very early in the morning, and I usually, if I'm going to work out, that's when I work out. That's when I'm, doing devotions. I do, kind of get right with God and start my day that way. And then by then the kids are getting up, and I handle that, if you will, and then, and then move into my day. And as Leslie said, I think one of our very valuable tenets here is that we do work with an open door. And I like, my door is shut right now, but that is super rare. I work with my door open, and I love managing by interruptions, quite honestly. My team knows that don't make me the reason that you didn't get something done. If you need something, you come see me. And if I'm in there with somebody, just kind of, if I see you, I'll wave you in if I can. There's very little that we do that cannot be interrupted. And so I do not like making things a to-do list item or having to, I don't like being overscheduled. I like to take my day as it comes if I can, because I just think I'm more effective that way, and I'm more challenged that way, quite frankly, too. So it protects me from getting bored in my role that I've been in for a long time. And so again, my team knows that, as Leslie has mentioned about communication. My assistant knows if someone comes by and they have a question, they're asking to schedule meetings. If she sees me in here, and she can tell, it'll just go in, ask her now. You don't need to schedule a meeting. She's here. So I think being less rigid has helped me actually improve my mindset and improve balance. And that seems a little bit counterintuitive. But I think learning to look at my calendar in advance so I don't have surprises, a week in advance, a day in advance, the morning of, and being, mentally prepared for what's coming during the day allows me to just kind of attack it, with full energy and feel productive at the end of the day, hoping that there was not a feeling of imbalance in there too.
No, and thank you, ladies, both so much for sharing all of this. But before we let you go, I do have one final question for both of you. Looking at young women today who are trying to advance in their careers or building their careers, like you, they have the juggles of many different priorities, but they're looking for, balancing work, balancing life, but also having a profound impact on those that they're trying to help. What advice do you have for them?
I guess if I were to start, I would say be open, be moldable, be okay with changing your mind and changing your course, changing your direction. But I think it's really important to align yourself with a person or an organization or a career field, if you will, if you haven't identified an organization yet, that will keep you challenged and will feed your need, feed your heart, your soul, your mind, everything about it. And that you eventually, hopefully early in your career, align yourself with someone who is able to see your value and help develop you in those areas, not just someone who's looking for a body to fill a job. So someone who's really as interested in your growth and development as you are. And you can tell that by their body of work, and that's something that they can interview the interviewer, how do you feel about internal promotion? Do you believe in professional development? Have you seen people progress? And you can tell from their answers if they're just answering them or if they truly believe in developing their own people. Because if you're going to be working under them and you want more than just a job, then they need to be as committed to you as you are to them.
President Kristof?
Yes. So I would say similarly, have a mentor, somebody that you can bounce ideas off. Don't be afraid of making a mistake. Really give yourself permission to evolve, and use the people around you, people that you admire, the people that you want to emulate, the people, that as Dr. Morgan said, align yourself with. It's also really important as you progress through your career or your work towards your goals is to really be kind to yourself. Just set yourself some boundaries. Unapologetically, if you're not good to yourself, you're not going to be productive. You need to use your voice, navigate for yourself. And like I said in the very beginning, is really just be kind to yourself and allow yourself to evolve.
Thank you both so much for taking the time and helping us to kick off Women's History Month. And most importantly, thank you for sharing your stories and your journeys. We really appreciated getting to have you both finally on the Voices podcast.
Yes, Heather, thank you so much. Great questions. And it is a privilege to be on with you and talk about women's history and set the tone for the future. Thank you.
Thank you. And if you all have enjoyed this conversation, be sure to like, share, subscribe, and follow, and we'll catch you on the next one.
Thank you for journeying with us today on Keiser Voices, the story of success. As we close this chapter, remember, every story has its next page.